Hello and welcome back, everyone, to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. My name is Scott, and I'm here to get myself and yourselves in the mood for the biggest Monday Night Raw of the year. Will we get surprises? Will we get returns? Will we get debuts? Will we get turns? As far as heels and baby faces go, we'll have to find out. But we're going to be with you between now and the show kicking off to break down those rumors and kind of decompress, I guess, when you think about the madness that has been WrestleMania Night 1 and 2, and of course all the other shenanigans surrounding it as well. So I'll be back with you right after this message.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.
All right, as the intro says, guys, give that subscribe button a slam. Don't miss any of the action. You'd think me slipping over my words means I've got the big old jug of beer out tonight, the big stein that I usually have on the build-up shows. It's not that. Don't worry. I'm having a nice little drink to kind of get the mood going for Raw after Mania. It's still a celebratory week after Raw, but we are here to talk Raw after WrestleMania. And yes, sometimes it's a dud, but sometimes it's amazing. And I'm hoping we're leaning at least towards the amazing side of things here. Speaking of amazing, we've got our great friends here from the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling community joining us once again. I know you've been commenting hard all weekend, guys, and we really appreciate it. First up, though, we've got a comment here from Vortex. Says, I just love seeing Cody with the title in the thumbnail. He actually now looks like an American nightmare. He does look fantastic, doesn't he? Great image there. Again, used in the thumbnail for this stream. Really great to see Cody Rhodes kind of in his rightful place, right? Looking like the champion that he is. And I loved when he had the all-in match and he held the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship. It kind of gave a bit more prestige back to that, I felt, at the time as well, after the great run that Aldis had been on with it as well. But seeing Cody Rhodes, as you say, in the thumbnail with that WWE Undisputed Universal Championship, still with Roman Reigns' plates on it, by the way. This is taken from him being on, I believe, Good Morning America. But there we go. Haven't had time to change it yet. Maybe they'll do it on Raw. Maybe that's something we can look forward to tonight, guys. The unveiling of the side plates for Cody Rhodes' title. A Critic Galaxy gives us a big old yo and a Cody. Plenty of Codys here as well. And Cody needs to be out first tonight. I think that's a good point, actually. How do we start the show? I think Cody Rhodes coming out first is probably... yeah, it's probably a good shout, actually. I'd be happy to see that. A little bit of a celebration. Yes, we finished the night last night on the celebration anyway, didn't we? But still, it would be cool to see Cody open the show as well. Let us know in the comments, guys. What are you looking forward to on Raw after WrestleMania tonight? What is the kind of vibe you think we're going to get? I know the first hour is going to be commercial-free, as they say over there in the States. No ads, basically. I'm sure there'll be picture, maybe some ads or something like that. I'm not quite sure. Speaking of ads, how many ads did WWE use during WrestleMania itself? It was quite a lot, wasn't it? But still, a great way for them to bring extra revenue and extra eyes onto the company as well. So I don't blame them for it. They keep talking about this being the most profitable this and the most tickets, highest gate and all this kind of stuff. Yes, inflation helps because the sold-out crowd in '99 wouldn't have paid as much as the sold-out crowd pays in 2024. So it's no wonder some of these records are being broken, but that's kind of not giving them credit at the same time. They've done an incredible job lately at genuinely selling out tickets and stuff like that as well. So no matter the price, they are doing very, very well. A critic also says, let's get to the comment here. Cody said he's old school and I didn't get to get the plates changed. I'm old school like that title. The title I have is the one I want in the ring. Okay, I didn't see the interview, so that's a great bit of context there. Critic Galaxy, appreciate that, and I'll carry it with me. Yeah, so yeah, really cool to again see Cody Rhodes with that title. And again, what a way to open Monday Night Raw. Of course, the big thing we'll be talking about tonight, surprises. Yeah. Who wants to see surprises? And who do you think we're going to see, guys? Let me know in the comments. Obviously, there's a rumor going around. If you're not here for it, guys, if you're not here for rumors, apologies. That's what this show is all about. We talk about last minute rumors and things like that. If you're not here for it, this might not be the stream for you. We are going to go wild with speculation on this one and talk about, if you don't want something spoiled, essentially, keep that in mind. But Jacob Fatu, I think, is the big one. A lot of rumors, of course, over the past few days that he signed for WWE. And apparently he's been telling people he signed for WWE. They haven't made it official as far as announcing it or anything like that. But you would imagine tonight is a good place for him to show up. And that kind of leads us into, what's going on next with the bloodline and things like that. So, yeah, we'll have to see about that one. Anyone else, though? Anyone else you reckon showing up tonight, guys? I know last year we did a huge podcast, myself and Rob, talking about all the kind of potential returns and surprises. Now, some of these from this time last year kind of seemed like they're definitely not happening a year later. And, of course, didn't happen at the time. And some of them seem like they could still be a possibility. I remember a big one we spoke about last year was Naomi. Of course, she's already back. Another one was Matt Cardona. Yes, he just did have a match in AEW, which kind of makes me think it's not the time, but I'd be really, really excited to see Matt Cardona / Zack Ryder back in the WWE as well, and it'd be interesting to know what version of Cardona / Ryder we get as well. All right. Sorry, guys. Seems like we are having some technical issues, to kind of stick with it. And hopefully it sorts itself out. Looks like we're doing a little bit better than we were. But again, apologies, guys, that we do have some tech issues. It's me just at the moment. It's just me, Oos, flying solo tonight, except for you lovely subscribers and people peeking in for the first time as well. Really appreciate having you on board either way. Now, let's dig into, I guess, some of the things, and how they may affect Raw. Of course, a lot of this stuff won't be relevant, I guess, until SmackDown as well. So, some of the people we talk about from WrestleMania, they might not even appear tonight, but I'm sure there will be some interesting fallout on Raw as well. Critic says, come up single, keep up with the WWE Rebellious Noise train. I know it's been so good the past few days now that I'm on my own. What the heck? It's kind of annoying, right? I'll see if there's anything I can do to work around this and try and make it better for you guys. But please bear with us. We'll try and get the best out of this as well. So, extra comment here from Acrylic as well. Keeping Roman's plates on. Oh yeah, sorry, we did get to that, didn't we? Yeah, seeing as you say, Cody Rhodes with the title, still got the original nameplates on there as well. All right. So what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to actually see if there's a way I can kind of hop in and out of this stream and kind of keep things ticking along. So apologies if there are any glitches while I try and do this. Just going to try and fix my my connection and see what we can do there. But in the meantime, we will we'll throw it over to a classic Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling feature, of course, showing our intro video.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action. Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action. Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.
Right, we are back. Let's see how we do this time, guys. I know it's still not looking great here, but let's try and stick with it, and we'll see if the signal does pick up. Apologies once again for technical issues that we're having here tonight. It's really frustrating. We've had such a great few days of WrestleMania and content on this channel. We've really grown in the last few days. Got some great new members of the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling family joining us, and I've recognized quite a few names in the comments as the weekend's gone by as well. So really do appreciate everything in that sense. Also, as you saw in the intro there, we do cover a lot of pro wrestling on this channel. It's not just kind of preview shows for events. We've also had the opportunity to interview the likes of LA Knight in the past, for example. We've also had great conversations with, of course, brand new women's champion in Bailey. We've also had the opportunity to speak to the likes of former Intercontinental Champion in Gunther there as well. Of course, with his Imperium friend, Ludwig Kaiser. But let's try and bring it back to Monday Night Raw, guys. Again, what are we most looking forward to on this? It's, I'll be honest, I'm not really a frequent watcher of Monday Night Raw. I only catch the highlights. In my opinion, it's still ridiculously too long. It shouldn't be 3 hours. I don't have time for it, and I'm a big wrestling fan. That's saying something, right? I'm covering it on this channel, and I don't have time for it. And it really does drag. Now, this time of year, I always tune back in. I always want to see what it's like live. I want to experience it. I don't want to miss any kind of big returns or moments or anything like that. Now, last year, we did the same thing. And quite famously, the report going around was that a certain someone was still very much in charge and ripped up things and changed things last minute. Now, the big things we did get last year, if you remember, was Brock Lesnar turning on Cody Rhodes, which was a big shock, but disappointing after we'd already been disappointed about what happened to Cody the night before. Has that changed 12 months later? Of course, he's now the champion, thankfully. And then beyond that, we got the return of Riddle, which was a nice surprise at the time. Riddle not even in the company anymore, which is, I know, controversial figure in some ways as well, but I do think was a very entertaining character. So it's a shame that's gone that way, especially now that Randy Orton is back. But anyway, that's another story for another day. But essentially, we did get a big return last year in the form of Matt Riddle. We didn't really get any NXT call-ups or anything like that. Now, earlier tonight, I was on the Give Me a Whole Year / Wrestling Royalty WrestleMania review. If you haven't already, go check their channels out as well. And at the end of the stream, once Raw is out of the way, feel free, of course, to go watch my cameo on there as well. But we were talking just briefly, really, about tonight and how we could get NXT call-ups. And I think the big one for me, and I think I kind of felt the same way last year, is Carmelo Hayes. He seems to be the one that's most likely to come up. He seems to be the one that's most ready. I still haven't got around to watch his Stand and Deliver, unfortunately, but I've heard good things about it. And he's a name that constantly is on the lips of wrestling fans as far as someone making that kind of step up, if you will, to the main roster. So yeah, be interested to know what you guys think. Are we going to get the debut, if you will, of Carmelo Hayes tonight? It was an interesting time a few years ago when they tried to kind of, because of the roster split, make SmackDown after Mania a thing as well. Because you did kind of have this thing of like, well, they can't show up on Raw because they're probably going to be on SmackDown or something like that. So, for example, Carmelo Hayes, if he was going to be on SmackDown, would he show up tonight? Would they hold it off for SmackDown? I'm hoping that either way, they just turn Raw into this extension of WrestleMania, like it was for quite a few years. There have been some incredible moments on the Raw after WrestleMania, and I've been privileged enough to go to quite a few WWE events in my time, you know, as both as a fan and both as a member of the media, thanks to this channel. And all the other work we do at Rebellious Noise. But yeah, I was in attendance when Dolph Ziggler cashed in his Money in the Bank. Of course, we won't be getting that tonight because we've had both of them cashed in. Senor Money in the Bank is no longer Senor Money in the Bank because he's Senor World Heavyweight Champion, which was really cool. But basically, that's one of my favorite Raw after WrestleMania moments. Be interested to know what you guys think. What's your favorites as well? Looks like the stream is starting to calm down now, guys. It looks like we're doing a little bit better. So thanks to those that have stuck by us as well. But yeah, once again, guys, let me know what you think is going to happen tonight. I want to know what you think, you know, as far as surprises. I want to know what you think, as mentioned in the comments earlier on, you know, what should open the show. I do think Cody Rhodes is probably your best bet. I could kind of see a world where Triple H opens, but of course he opened night 1 of Mania. Stephanie opened night 2 of Mania. So maybe we've kind of done that for this weekend. But yeah, that would be, I guess, an interesting way to go. We could also go down the route of Drew McIntyre. Of course, a man who was, well, he was world champ. I was going to say close to being world champ. He was world champ, and he had it snatched away from him, of course, at the end of his match against Drew McIntyre. Against Seth Rollins. Really smart work they did there at the end of, at the beginning of night 2. Really kind of, in my opinion, set the tone for night 2 after what felt like a bit of a lackluster night 1. But yeah, he's of course got a bit of a grudge to kind of bear now because he's going to be frustrated with what happened, being cashed in on and taking his eyes off the prize, really, because he focused on CM Punk a little bit too much after ironically saying that Seth wasn't focused enough on him and that would be his downfall. And both things turned out to be true, it seems. So, yeah, going to be interesting to see what happens tonight with Drew. I think he needs to go into this storyline of, you know, feeling hard done by sort of thing, right? But then we're going to Clash at the Castle very soon in Glasgow. And I know that through a lot of people's predictions for Mania, thinking, well, that's it. Then he's going into Glasgow as champ. And then other people thought, oh, no, that actually means it's more strong to be the other way because he'll go in and he'll win it in Glasgow. And it looks like, well, the first one might not be, definitely at the moment isn't happening. And the second one could still happen. Damien Priest versus Drew McIntyre for the World Heavyweight title in Glasgow. Kind of, I can see that coming. But of course, what we saw from CM Punk last night was the kind of showing of his cards, really, of like, yep, my arm's not as bad as it was. I'm on my way back. I did see him on that interview with Ariel Helwani basically saying, you know, he doesn't want to give too much away, but he felt better than he expected. And kind of, you know, there was this question from Ariel saying, do you think you could have been ready for Mania? And he kind of just left it at that sort of thing. It looks like maybe not for a match, but he definitely was ready to get physical. Critic Galaxy says Drew and Damien to cut a promo. Do you think they're going to go one-on-one on Monday Night Raw then? Do you think we're going to get a face-to-face between the two of them? Or do you think it's going to be a bit more focused on CM Punk from Drew again, which is, again, how he got himself in this mess in the first place? It'd be interesting. But also, you know, we could open up with rather than a Cody Rhodes celebration, it could open up with a Judgment Day celebration, right? You know, with all the purple streamers and stuff like that to kind of really emphasize Judgment Day's, I don't want to say massively successful weekend, because of course they lost the tag titles, but surely that was done to now, as we can see, give Damien the big gold instead. So yeah, it'd be cool if it opened with that. I love that clip we got at the end of that segment where you had all the Judgment Day members on the mat, on the ramp, posing with Damien Priest, and of course, a big part of that was Rhea Ripley with the Women's World Heavyweight Championship as well. So, really cool to see that. Be interested to see as well where we go with Rhea Ripley individually, not just for the Judgment Day, because it did feel like maybe the Judgment Day were going to split up if they lost their titles. But now it's looking like, well, no, they're still pretty strong. If Rhea was the only one left with a belt, then I would have been a bit concerned for their future. But hey, you know what? Ain't looking too bad. I do think going back into the storyline of a jealous Finn Balor is a good idea. Whether or not we do that, I'm not quite sure, but that's definitely a route that they could go down as well. A critic, you reckon Drew calls out Priest out of anger? I could see that happening. Yeah. You'd imagine CM Punk does something on the Raw, though, right? So it's got to be in this segment. So maybe that's how it starts. He calls out Priest. Punk comes out instead, then Priest comes out eventually, maybe, or something like that. It'd be interesting to do it that way, I guess. But yeah, what a WrestleMania weekend, guys. It was wild, jam-packed. And again, we're here live again to kind of talk wrestling once more. But if you haven't already, check out our instant reaction review to WrestleMania. We did one soon as we went off the air, or as soon as WrestleMania went off the air, I should say, on night one. And then we came straight back again to let you know our instant thoughts and our reactions to everything that went down on night two as well. So if you haven't already, guys, check out those podcasts on this very channel. But of course, tonight is all about getting ourselves hyped up for the biggest Monday Night Raw of the year. And again, I really do hope it's going to be one that we're coming away from in a good mood. I am going to do an instant reaction for Raw tonight as well. Again, not only do I usually watch Raw live, we definitely don't cover it to this extent. So that's how you know it's a special occasion. I will be coming back. Please join me if you can, guys, straight after Monday Night Raw ends to kind of talk about whatever does go down, whether or not we did see surprises or whether or not it was a bit of a lackluster affair. So hopefully it's the former rather than like now. The critic says triple threat at Clash, Punk, Drew, and Priest. That makes sense. And if Punk is still somewhat injured, that's a good way to kind of bring him back into the fold, right? Without kind of gearing up too much focus on him straight away. So yeah, that's a good shout actually. Still wouldn't be able to say who would win that. Does Drew win it? And of course, a big part of what happened this weekend as well is we are now freed up to have Gunther in a main event title picture, whether that be the World Heavyweight or the WWE title. I think the feud versus Cody seems written, right? You know, they had that incredible moment in the Royal Rumble. 2 years in a row, I believe they kind of had a little segment. Yeah, because they started together, didn't they, in 2023? So that was a big part of the story for that match, wasn't it? So it'd be good to revisit that. We know it's there. We know they work well together. And you can see character-wise as well, like they are great to be going against each other. It feels almost like golden era WWF, you know, classic sort of stuff. So, yeah, and they are kind of both throwbacks in their own right. So that kind of, yeah, that would be pretty cool. But that's it. I mean, like this Raw is going to be showing us, you know, the dawning of a new era. That's what a lot of the conversation has been the past few days, of course, because many referring to, you know, WrestleMania having a pencil, Triple H having a pencil as referred to by Paul Heyman. But WrestleMania really focused on the Paul Levesque era. And then within that, you've got this new cycle of one WrestleMania one WWE season is over at the end of WrestleMania and a new one begins really on Monday Night Raw. And it does feel like an opportunity for a clean slate. What I'm hoping for, though, it doesn't end up going the other way where Backlash is rematch Mania. Like that, it drives me mad when they focus too much on that, where like most of the card is a lack of progression. We do need to have something fresh going into Backlash, but I'm really excited for Backlash. You know, Backlash being in France, another European PLE. Of course, we've mentioned it as well. We've got Bash in Berlin coming up soon, of course, in Germany. They're about to go to the other side of the world once again in Saudi Arabia, I believe in Jeddah, to do the King and Queen of the Ring. I think SummerSlam's in Montreal this year, or is it Toronto? I can't quite remember off the top of my head, but I'm fairly certain it's in Canada at least. Then, of course, as we've been saying, we've got Clash at the Castle coming back to the UK as well. So really excited to kind of see what we can do there as high as Rebellious Noise and giving you guys some extra content surrounding those events. Seth to turn on my boy Cody is a possibility. I lost my title, but can I take yours? Yeah, that's possible. I know you were with us over the weekend, Critic, so I assume you heard me say it already, but I was fearful for some time that Seth might turn on Cody within the match, but actually what went down was really nice, wasn't it? I know a lot of people really dissected the story behind it. We didn't really get a chance to do that last night because we were just all over the place with our emotions on the instant reaction. But yeah, it was great seeing the threads in the story between Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins play out as well. So, and Seth saying, I will be your shield. And he came out as Seth Rollins, the shield member. And at first I was like, what? He got taken out. And I was like, oh, but he was the shield. Like, he protected him. And then he did that exact same thing again when Roman couldn't let go. Incredible storytelling. Couldn't let go of what had happened in the past and just decided, he had the option right there. Cody or Seth, and he couldn't help himself, but hit Seth, and in the end, it cost him. And I thought that was great as well because it wasn't Cody, a big fear of mine, and you'll know this, guys, if you were with us over the weekend, as I know a few of you were. My fear going into those shows on the build-up, I was saying, look, if Cody wins because of someone else, that's not good. Someone needs to settle the score, and Cody kind of do that. Roman wasn't hit. He was distracted for his own fault. And Seth was only there to even the odds because of what Roman was doing anyway. So it was very wise what they did there. Sludge Sports has just joined us. Hello, late, but what did I miss? Not much, mate. We had a bit of a technical problem at the beginning of the show. Looks like my signal's holding out a bit more than it was. But thank you to those that stuck by us. But we've basically just been talking about what to expect tonight. The rumors of Jacob Fatu, talking about how Cody Rhodes is kind of looking, as a champion, in the thumbnail, as we've seen, looks great with the title, and it's really exciting to see him on the show tonight. Does he open? Do the Judgment Day open up? Where do they go? So we've just been kind of speculating on that, and we'll continue to do so, of course, until we get closer to Monday Night Raw kicking off as well. Podrick says Cody Rhodes, a new champion, doing that for his dad and mum and his wife, and someone from AEW. Someone from AEW, I'm assuming you're referring to, who a critic is referring to, Dustin Rhodes, of course, Gold Dust as well, to WWE fans. Imagine if he comes out tonight. Well, yeah, I heard he was there yesterday, which is really nice. Part of me did think that maybe he would appear on TV because maybe Tony Khan would allow it, because Tony ultimately is a big wrestling fan, is a family man, and all that kind of stuff. Maybe, even though things have really spiced up between the two companies and the people that work between them lately as well. So I thought, maybe not. But there was my slight hope. If it didn't happen at WrestleMania, I don't think it's happening on a Raw, unless he was coming back completely, which he's not if he's under contract with AEW. But Sludge Sports says, I think Sheamus returns this Monday. Yeah, where has Sheamus been? He's the forgotten kind of member of the roster, it feels like. This time last year, he had that amazing match with Drew McIntyre and Gunther for the IC title. And yeah, he's been forgotten about. Dunn's moved on. He's now working with his old friend Tyler Bate in NXT. Well, not NXT, sorry, on SmackDown. Going after tag titles and things like that. And then, of course, Ridge is gone as well. He's gone from the main roster, went down to NXT, and the last thing I saw was him saying he ain't going to be around for a bit. So unless he's popped back in since I last saw that, again, I haven't seen Stand and Deliver. Really weird to break up the Brawling Brutes, essentially, and have Sheamus kind of fade into the background. So, yeah, I mean, what an incredible talent. That was a big part of, the Intercontinental title journey, and a disappointment, if you're just joining us for the first time, you may not have seen. I wasn't too thrilled with what happened on night one when it came to the IC title, because I just felt like Sami Zayn should be getting a position like that, but it should be bigger than that. It should be the world title. And yes, Gunther has elevated the IC, but that was for someone new to take over, not a 4-time champion now, which Sami Zayn is. So for me, they wasted the moment, and I felt bad. You know, I love Sami Zayn. I think it's fantastic. I love what Gunther's done for the IC title, but I just felt like everybody was having this moment, and I was on the outside going, I kind of like don't want this, you know, even though it was a fantastic match, and I get presentation-wise what they were trying to convey, and I think people did buy into it. But for me, yeah, it wasn't the case. And what adds to that again is that Sheamus has never been IC champ. And last year at Clash, and last year at WrestleMania, or 2 years ago now at Clash, and last year at WrestleMania, that was a big part of why can't it be him? Like, I know, by the same token, you say, Sheamus has been multi-time world champion and all that kind of stuff. Does he need it? Well, if you're collecting them all, yeah, I guess Sheamus does need it more even than Sami Zayn. So yeah, little concern in there, but I'd love to see him back, as Sludge said as well. Fembella, if that's not how you say your name, apologies, but yes, yeet Cody Rhodes. Yeah, yeet indeed. Of course, we saw Jimmy versus Jay, another one that I don't want to put too much of a downer on WrestleMania for, but come on, I don't think any of us think that was a good match. So it'd be interesting to see where we go with Yeet himself, Mr. Jey Uso. I feel like when he came out to make the save during night 2, it was a relief for me to see him get such a good reaction. So yeah, it would be cool to see Jey Uso kind of go in a new direction for storyline here as well. What other things do we think might pop up on Raw, guys? You know, we've got AJ versus LA Knight, but surely that's a SmackDown fallout. You know, will we see anything to do with Becky Lynch? It'd be interesting to see if we do. I personally think she might be going away to kind of have a bit of time off. But yeah, not entirely sure if that is true. But I could see it, and I could see it with Seth as well. Not that I want them to go away, but I can understand that being the case. But yeah, so it'd be interesting to see if she is there on Monday Night Raw. Excuse me, guys. Just trying to sort some stuff here in the back end as well to make sure we are running smoothly. I think I had an issue, a power supply issue, and it looks like the stream's a little bit better now, guys, right? After all that, it was an issue with my laptop's power, it looks like. So, my goodness, unprofessional or what? But hey, I'm on my own tonight, guys, except for you lovely people in the comments. As you can see, I've got no Rob, I've got no Lucas, I ain't got a Dan either, and I ain't got any of our special guests, which I'm sure many of you enjoyed over the weekend. And once again, thank you all for sticking with us over WrestleMania weekend. It was great to kind of see the numbers rise as far as our subscribers go, and you guys join our family. And of course, a lot of familiar names in our comment section tonight as well, who I know have been with us on this journey for quite some time now as well. So yeah, including Sludge Sports, who says, I think Awesome Truth lose their titles tonight. Yeah, it could be the case. It might actually happen. I think it was, and I was on the Give Me a Whole Year show earlier on, and Wrestling Royalty, and I said, look, I just feel like the two sides that won the tag titles were better for them as individuals and as teams than for the titles. And I know titles make wrestlers, that's what it's all about. You know, some people see it as a prop to kind of help a wrestler get to the next level. And really it was on the babyface side of things with the Awesome Truth, it was nice for them two guys together to do something to win the titles, particularly for R-Truth, who's been so entertaining for so long, but even more so the past few months with Judgment Day. So that was a great story there. On the opposite side of things, with the SmackDown titles and the heels, they are exciting young heels in Austin Theory and Grayson Waller as well. So A-Town Down Under, as they're known. Good to see them doing well. I just don't know how long that team lasts. So, but if I had to bet, I'd go with what Sludge says there, that the team likely to lose their titles first is probably the Awesome Truth. But if that's the case, who's beating them? Because the team I thought that should have won some gold in that at least, or silver, because of the way the titles are, were probably Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne. But of course they've mainly been kicking around on SmackDown. So I guess the only other way you could go with it is, well, DIY, but they're baby faces, and that wouldn't be good for them, right? To turn heel, or maybe they could. Maybe that is what we're going to get to. We are in an ever-changing industry here with WWE, and we do see flips and flops all the time when it comes to not just in ring action, but heel to babyface switches as well. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see if they do lose their titles tonight. It'd be quite similar to Zack Ryder, wouldn't it? When Zack Ryder lost the IC title after winning it and Mania, that incredible moment, which still, you know, I know it was disappointing to lose it the next day, but we all talk about that moment, right? It was still a fantastic, experience, I'm sure, for Zack Ryder and his family. As I say, though, earlier on, we were talking about the potential for him showing up tonight, as we did last year, and whether or not he does, it'd be interesting to see when he eventually comes back to WWE, because I do feel like it's inevitable. Who would he be? Would he be Zack Ryder, or would he be Matt Cardona? He's been on this incredible run on the Indies ever since he left WWE, but WWE fans will know him as Zack Ryder. So I think a mixture of the two characters is the best way to go about it. But I won't spoil the video, guys. Go check that out if you haven't already. Side Sport thinks the Judgment Day will win it back. You know, I didn't even think that, because I thought, well, surely they got the tag titles off of Damien to give him the world title, so they don't need to give him back. But you know what they could do? Balor and JD could be the ones that take them, which that wouldn't be bad. I actually think I've got to be honest, I think that's a great idea. Let's say we come out with that one together, Sludge. I think, yeah, the Judgment Day, but I don't know about you. Do you think it'd be good as JD and Balor? I think that'd be cool. They got history together, of course. That's why JD's in the group in the first place. And then you've got, wow, tag titles, women's world title, men's world title. The only thing we're missing there is Dirty Dom picking up a title as well, and maybe what mid card would be available to him. I mean, he's not beating Logan Paul for it, is he? So that's not happening. Dom beating Sami Zayn would be cool, I guess, and that would justify taking it off of Gunther, because you couldn't give it directly to Dom, but it would also, in my opinion, damage like that incredible moment that they're trying to portray. But at the same time, if it's what I say it really is, which is someone that didn't need it anyway, then the other thing you can do is transfer the heat into, oh my gosh, I can't believe Dom took it away from Sammy in a sneaky kind of way, sort of thing as well. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. So Sludge says JD and Balor. Yeah, I think that's a great shout, man. That would be really cool. And look, a great moment. It would get the wrestling world talking, and it will make that team look strong. Just when we all were looking at it like, what, 2 nights ago going into night one, oh, could this be the end of Judgment Day? And I was saying again on the stream for the other boys earlier on, give me a whole year and wrestling royalty, that, you know, they could go up a gear now because they have the 2 world titles. But yeah, they could definitely get the tag titles back. And that's a clever way to do it, because I hate, if you've been with us for a while, whether it's been on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel or any of the Talking Beans podcasts I did years back with Tom, who was a guest on night number 1 when it goes to our old wrestling podcast as well on there. You'll know I hate the Freebird rule. I really hate the Freebird rule, and it frustrates me how much that is a stain, in my opinion, on the New Day's runs. But anyway, not that they aren't amazing, but you know, it is what it is. Really nice to see them back together, though, weren't it, guys, at the Hall of Fame? Really nice. Inducting Thunderbolt Patterson, who had a interesting speech, we'll put it that way. But bless him, you know, he's a man who is very passionate, and yeah, great career, as you can see as well, and really did set trends and kind of open up doors for many WWE superstars. Talking there, though, about one of those in Big E. Now, would he come back and wrestle? I'm not sure, but what I do know is that when he was WWE champion, it was an absolute privilege to have a chat with a man. We had a great conversation about bringing back the 5 count, if you remember that from NXT, and why he wants that dream match with Goldberg as well. Now, whether that's going to happen anytime soon, I don't know, because of Big E's situation with his health and Goldberg's situation with his contracts. But still, it's a great watch anyway, so go back and watch it. One of my favorite interviews to do, because he was such energetic and welcoming guy. you interviewed a WWE champ, and he couldn't be any nicer. So really great to see him back at the Hall of Fame, and I know they've been using him lately as far as on kickoff shows and stuff like that. And obviously, as a wrestling fan, I want him to wrestle again. But ultimately, I want what's best for the person, because, as I say, he's a great guy from my experience, and really wish him well. Let's bring it back to Monday Night Raw, though, guys. This is the live build-up for Raw after WrestleMania. And we want to know, what do you think is going down tonight? What surprises are we getting? Are we getting surprises? Who's coming back? Who's coming in for the first time? I know the big rumor at the moment, Jacob Fatu. If he does come in, is it tonight? If he does come in tonight, what does he do? Is Roman Reigns there? Is any kind of form of the bloodline there? Is The Rock there? What I've been thinking is that if The Rock does have a more permanent schedule going forward, and I know a lot of people look at it and go, no, he won't, because he doesn't usually. This was a one-off. He's very much involved with the company at the top now. So if there's ever any time for it, it could be now. So maybe it will continue. And maybe The Rock will be the new leader of the bloodline, harking back to the days of trying to take over the nation from Farouk. And then maybe he brings in Jacob Fatu. I was thinking Raw after Mania is a good time to do it. Reminds me of when DX had Shawn Michaels go away. Triple H stepped into the role and said, when you look for backup, you need help, you look to your blood, you look to the Click, and he brought in X-Pac, and they rebuilt DX that night. Maybe that's what we get. Maybe the bloodline is rebuilt with The Rock in charge while Roman goes away and then eventually comes back. And I didn't expect to be saying this a few days ago, but comes back as the babyface in that feud, because I thought The Rock, if anything, would be turning, maybe at Mania. The whole time going towards Mania, I felt that until the last few days, where I thought maybe, you know what, keep it running, because this heel run has been so good. Maybe Rock turns at SummerSlam or something like that, or we'll see. But now, maybe not. Maybe Roman is the one that's the babyface. Maybe Roman tries to kind of not win back the bloodline, but kind of, that's his reason for turning, basically, because Rock's just gone mad and kind of made it even worse in his eyes or something like that. So, yeah, it would be cool, I think, to have this kind of split between the bloodline, and have, potential new members. Because I was thinking, this time last year, the bloodline's run its course. Like, it needs to start winding down, or we need Solo going against Roman or something like that. Now, because the ending was different at WrestleMania this time, I'm open to more bloodline, because Cody's done what he needs to do, and the title is away from him. And the bloodline can be a big story without the title. The Rock versus Roman certainly could be a big story without the title as well. So, for me, some sort of shaking up of the ranks of the bloodline and new members and giving new life to it would be good. Whereas I think if it had happened when Cody was still chasing, and it stopped Cody from getting the title and finishing the story, as they say, then I would have been a bit like, I don't care who's coming in. I just don't want this anymore. If someone else came in, Samoan spiked, or, distracted Cody Rhodes, then I'd be like, I don't want it. But now there's room for Jacob Fatu to come in, or I know there's been rumors of Zilla Fatu as well, and Tama Tonga as well. And, over the years, Ava Rain could be coming in, and Nia Jax could be getting involved, and Naomi could be getting involved. There's still potential for a lot of twists and turns in the bloodline saga. Will it ever catch the kind of heights and kind of attention that it once got? I don't know. Can it? Maybe, especially if The Rock is the one in charge and they do this kind of Rock and Roman thing. But that first, I don't want to say year, it was probably 2 odd years, wasn't it? Because Roman had the title for quite some time. But that first bit, I think, especially with the Sami Zayn introduction as well, that was lightning in the bottle. Actually, what the peak for me for the bloodline was probably around Survivor Series, where they did the War Games. Even I remember the poster for that event just looked so cool, seeing the bloodline together, the honorary use and stuff like that. Things were really, really exciting then. And yeah, I'm glad we're not looking back and going, oh, that bloodline thing was a bit too much. But again, it still could go that way. They need to be careful with it. They either need to end it or take it to the next level. And I know Triple H has said things like, look, you'll know what's going on soon. And I think Cody Rhodes said the same thing or something to that effect, that basically, look, we've got a plan. And the next week or so, you're going to kind of know where we're going with things. So will that be tonight, guys? Are we going to see an arrival of a new bloodline member? Are we going to see dissension in the ranks between the bloodline? It was cool seeing that footage. I'm sure some of you have already seen it as well online of, fan footage of Roman walking away and looking like he was almost in tears, and all the kind of enemies from the past just running past him, not caring, and then going into the arms of Paul Heyman. And it seemed quite poetic, but also as a human, it seemed like a bit of a kind of, the weight was lifted off his shoulders. He's had this incredible run with the title. As much as I think it should have ended a year ago, it doesn't take away from the first few kind of storylines he was in, and just the incredible kind of path that he's been on, really, these past few years. The baby face that they always wanted. And when they turned him heel, it was the heel we always wanted, I feel. I always saw potential in Roman, but I just didn't like the way he was presented. And when they took those gloves off, it was, it really, really was something to behold. I've just seen, actually, we talked about earlier on, guys, about the plates. They've actually been replaced. The side plates have been replaced. I'm going to see if I can get up a little image here. There's a video around on WWE's social media of them being attached. So let me see if I can just kind of bring this up for you guys. Let's share the screen. Let's be friends here. Let me share the screen for you, and I can show you exactly what I'm talking about. We do now have Cody Rhodes side plates. There we go. American Nightmare side plates, as you can see, on the WWE Universal title as well. Looking very cool there. I'm sure you would agree. Really, really like what I'm seeing there. It's the obvious thing, the WWE, American Nightmare logo. But yeah, works pretty well. Happy about that. What do you guys think? Pretty cool seeing it, because we did say earlier on it still had Roman Reigns' side plates on. And now we can see they've been replaced by the Cody Rhodes American Nightmare logo. So, as I said, guys, last night we went on the air straight away. We gave our instant reactions to everything that went down at WrestleMania Night 2. We did the same thing on Night 1. I've given you a little bit of a background on my thoughts on the matches you've seen just there as well. But also, we do dive in a little bit deeper on those. So if you haven't already, check those out. What we'll do, though, guys, is when Raw goes off the air tonight, we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to come straight on air live. It's going to be, for us, 4 a.m. But hey, that's no different than the last 2 days, right? If anything, that's earlier. I'll get an early night, if you will. The last 2 days, we've gone on air at 5 a.m. It was been around 4, but I got off yesterday, I think about 5:30 on the way to 6 a.m. It was light outside. It was a bit surreal. But tonight we'll go back on the air as soon as Raw's done with, and we'll pick up this conversation, guys. We'll talk about any kind of potential returns or debuts, or people turning on each other, or new ranks in the bloodline, or whether or not we have seen title changes already. I do really like that idea that Sludge had earlier on of the Judgment Day getting their titles back, but in the form of Balor and JD. I think that would be really, really good for the Judgment Day. Again, the only thing missing is Dirty Dom with a title at that stage, and that'll hopefully be coming to him as well. I don't know in what form. I guess again the IC is probably the one to do it on. But then the IC one, I'll be going straight into Sami Zayn and Gable. Is that what we're going to see instead? We'll have to see. Now let's dig into, I guess, some more of this Roman Reigns title reign, because I saw a really cool graphic earlier on. Just going to see if I can bring it up for you guys. Talking about the incredible run, as I say, that Roman Reigns has been on. Yes, he hasn't worked every single night. Yes, he hasn't had as many title defenses as other wrestlers. But the people that he has beat, it's been a who's who. The list has been absolutely incredible. So I'm going to read them out to you now. Right. This is Roman Reigns' time as champion. Now, of course, WWE title, Universal, it's now been mixed into two, but it really shows just how incredible this run has been and how long it's been as well when you hear some of these names, considering where they are at the moment. But anyway, you've got and kind of remembering these storylines and going, well, that was a different world at the time, not just literally because it started during the pandemic era, but also just in WWE's kind of world and where a lot of these characters have gone since then. But this is the run that he had on top, right? Braun Strowman, The Fiend, Jey Uso, Kevin Owens, Daniel Bryan, Edge, Rey Mysterio, Cesaro, John Cena, Finn Balor, Brock Lesnar, Sami Zayn, Goldberg, Seth Rollins, Riddle, Drew McIntyre, Logan Paul, Cody Rhodes, LA Knight, AJ Styles, and Randy Orton. And as I say, that is a who's who of people to beat, right? Now, if you look back at, I don't know, CM Punk's reign of a year, if you look back at maybe a random Triple H reign from 2003, let's say, you could probably see some great names in there as well. And especially if you are defending more frequently, don't get me wrong. But like even that, it stretches kind of different kind of not eras so much because, it's not the same as going from ruthless aggression to the attitude into the PG or anything like, well, that's the wrong way around, but you get what I'm saying. I know we're talking about a new era now, but it still does feel quite different. These mini eras, if you will. So, yeah, man, what an incredible run. He's got to be proud of that. Again, what a great body of work that is. And again, going back to some of those names, you think in that, The Fiend, like the reign has been so long that The Fiend lost his title, went away, like left WWE, came back in spectacular fashion, sadly went away ill, and sadly, even more so, passed away. And even that was some time ago now. So it really kind of puts perspective on this run. Again, you see names like LA Knight and you think, well, that's the more recent side. But even that was some time ago now. You see names like Daniel Bryan and Edge. Remember the WrestleMania 37 when the fans were, finally coming back and they had about half a stadium, I believe, and the cardboard cutouts and things like that. But I remember that time being kind of, pleased with what we'd seen from Roman so far and thought, well, what's next? Like, where are we going with this? And then you get to Brock Lesnar a year later. And you got to remember as well, the whole situation with day one. And this is why we love doing these build-up shows. We're doing one, of course, tonight for the Raw after WrestleMania, but we mainly do them for PLEs. And this is a special occasion. So we've done it for Raw a few times as well, but mainly for PLEs to get ourselves hyped up for the show, get you in the mood for the show as well. But the best thing about those for me is that they're really laid back and casual. And we have a laugh with it, and we go off on tangents, and they bring up some great conversations as well. But also the kind of drama surrounding shows and things that are changing on the fly. We always go back to WrestleMania 37 again when the storm came in. We weren't sure if there would be a WrestleMania, and there hadn't really been a proper one because of the year before as well. So that was in the PC, of course. So then we also have day one where Roman didn't perform, and it was supposed to be Roman versus Brock Lesnar. Like, the whole history of the business pretty much changed there. We've got a butterfly effect situation going on. Roman Reigns, maybe he was going to lose the title. I know there's been people that have said it out there that, yeah, he was going to lose the title because eventually Brock gets put into the four-way. Big E sadly loses his belt. We mentioned that earlier on, how, he was champ and we got the privilege of interviewing him at the time. But not long after that, Big E lost the world title, which was a real shame, the WWE title even. But it was exciting because it was like, what are they doing? Like, we knew that wasn't what the original plan because he wasn't even going to be in that match. But Does that mean he was meant to have a title? Does that mean Roman was going to lose? So you think all the way back to then, we may never have got this run. Not to this extent, at least. And again, even then, I remember saying to people on the channel, like, it's been good. I've really enjoyed this. He's doing some great work at the moment. And now, like, we look back on it, and again, that was so long ago. Some other names on that. Let's get to some more kind of names in this run. John Cena, easy to think about the recent Bloodline feud with John Cena, but that's referring to when he came back at Money in the Bank that time, which was a great return. Cesaro, and it actually felt like maybe Cesaro was going to do it, like maybe this was his moment. Not long after that, he was out the door on his way to AEW instead. Finn Balor, this was when Finn Balor brought back the Demon, and it didn't work out for him. We had this weird thing where he fell off the top rope, and we still don't know what the heck that was about. Goldberg, of course, it was, that kind of reminds me of the era just before this, where you'd always get Goldberg, Reigns, Brock, Goldberg, Reigns, Brock in some sort of fashion. Sami Zayn, I mean, we've touched on it a little bit tonight, but that was some of the best storytelling WWE have done in ages. And I'm still hurt that he didn't win it, which is weird saying that after what I've been saying about him winning the IC, but that's what I mean. Sammy should have had a bigger prize. And I understand it weren't the right time last year because it felt like Cody, and then it weren't Cody. And then this year, apparently it weren't going to be Cody because he was going to face The Rock. So was The Rock going to take the title, or was he going to keep it and it be Cody at SummerSlam? We may never know. But what we do know is, again, an incredible run from our tribal chief. And whatever he does next, like, he's earned it. Whether that is going into a big feud with his cousin, The Rock, whether that's turning into the babyface in that feud and finally getting the cheers, because we've already appreciated him as a heel, finally getting the cheers that they always wanted him to have as babyface. Yes, people liked him, don't get me wrong, but these will be different cheers. Or whether that means just going away for a bit or riding off into the sunset completely, which I would be gutted if that was the case, but I have to respect him. He's been so good. And of course, doing all this, as he said in the presser the other day, still taking medication for his leukemia battle. It feels like it's never really going to fully go away. He's still in remission, he says, but he's still taking these meds and stuff like that. And it's when you put that into the equation, like, it really does bring you to kind of perspective, really bring things into perspective about, again, the incredible body of work that he's supplied. And it couldn't be done really without, I think, the bloodline and the people that he's fought against. And of course, the wise man who has just gone into the Hall of Fame as well. So yeah, just props to Roman Reigns and props to everyone that's been part of that story. We are just under an hour away now to the Raw after WrestleMania. So let's get into some predictions, guys. What do you think's going to happen tonight? I know one that was coming up the other night that I don't know if I should bring it up, because is it that ludicrous that people are just going to go, whatever. But hey, it's the Raw after WrestleMania. You never know. MJF, is he going to be there? Is he showing up? I don't know. I mean, a lot of people think he is heading back to AEW, and that signed, sealed, delivered, it's all fine. Is there something we don't know? I do think he'll end up there eventually, I'll be honest, in WWE. But we'll see. We've got WWE's own here. How do you imagine Randy Orton doing a crossface? What do you mean? How do I imagine him doing it? Like, do I think it would be good from using that move? I mean, he's already got an incredible set of moves, right? The RKO, the punt, which he was bringing back, of course, for Logan Paul at WrestleMania. I don't know about Randy Orton using a kind of submission as his main move. That'd be kind of interesting. He's all very much this kind of methodical character that just kind of snaps really quickly, right? So these explosive moves, I think, tend to help his character a little bit more, and everybody loves that, don't they? I say everybody as if I'm LA Knight there. But yeah, thanks for your comment, buddy. Really appreciate it. But guys, what do you think is going to happen tonight? Are we getting someone like MJF? Are we getting someone like, Jacob Fatu? Again, he's trending. People are pretty sure he's signed. So if he has signed, is he coming out tonight, or is he coming out on SmackDown, or are we holding on to it for a little bit longer? Or is he going into NXT? You don't know. So that's what happened to Solo, didn't it? Solo went straight into NXT. Took him a little while, really, to get called up into the main roster, and the whole kind of shenanigans-based storyline that was the Bloodline, of course, in Cardiff at Clash at the Castle. Again, I was very privileged to be there for Clash at the Castle, doing some media work for Rebellious Noise and our pro wrestling channel. If you haven't already, go back and check out some of the content we made surrounding Clash at the Castle, where we had a fantastic conversation with the members of Imperium. We talked about the Intercontinental title and how important it was to both of them, really. We also had a great conversation with Rhea Ripley. Of course, she had a fantastic entrance at WrestleMania, coming out to her theme song being played live by Motionless in White, who, of course, she's been a big fan of for quite some time. And a big fan, of course, I'm sure you're aware, of alternative music. And we had a great chat with her about what got her into that kind of music and that kind of lifestyle. And just had a laugh, generally speaking. A great person to chat to at the Clash at the Castle event surrounding, at the event surrounding Clash at the Castle, I should say, in Cardiff just a while ago now. We've also had video on his channel, such as how to fix WrestleMania week. I don't know about you, as much as I enjoy it, it is a lot, right? There's too much going on. They need to fix it, because I felt in particular this time round, the Hall of Fame really suffered. We actually did a video on that as well, how to fix the Hall of Fame. I think it needs to be moved away from the night of SmackDown. They need to get rid of the awful setup they've got going on there. People need to start wearing suits again. It should be prestigious. It should be a real privilege to go to the Hall of Fame. Whereas nowadays, and I'm not even just saying this, if I had a ticket to the Hall of Fame, I might think about not going, because the last time I had a ticket to the Hall of Fame, I went to the G1 Supercard instead. So, and that was when DX, some of my heroes in wrestling, got inducted, and I still thought, Hall of Fame's not what it used to be, and I didn't bother going. To be fair, I was working at the G1. I was doing some work for Rebellious Noise, but still out of the two. Mikhail says, does Raw start in an hour? Yeah, not far away from it, mate. 55 minutes is when Raw after Mania starts. We are here as the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel to get you hyped up for the event and get ourselves hyped up as well. I know there's a chance, guys, that in about 4 hours' time, we're going to be coming back on this channel for this stream, for the instant reaction, and going, why did I stay up? But there's also a chance that we say, wow, Raw after Mania is back to where it used to be, and that's what I'm hoping. Think Dudley Boy's return, think X-Pac joining DX, think Ziggler cashing in, think Brock Lesnar returning against John Cena. It might not be to that caliber, but something, right? And last year, as I say, we got Riddle return, and we had this strange thing going on with Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar, which, to be fair, helped keep Cody distracted and busy at a time when we were all going, what the hell are they doing with Cody Rhodes, and how are we going to get back there next year? Because it felt kind of inevitable until it went somewhere else with The Rock and then steered back to where we eventually got it. But yeah, let's see what happens tonight, guys. Again, I want to know your thoughts. We've already been discussing it, but do you think Jacob Fatu is showing up tonight? Do you think something wild like an MJF or something like that could be showing up tonight? Do you think Matt Cardona could be making his WWE return, going back into the old Zack Ryder gimmick, or a mixture of the two? Do you think we could get a call up from NXT? And if so, who will it be? My best bet, my thinking, is Carmelo Hayes, right? He's the one that is, again, he's the talk of the town when it comes to NXT. And he was that this time last year. Again, we did a podcast last year, myself and Rob, in the studio, where we talked about, who should come back, who could come in. We were talking at the time, again, about names that just aren't going to happen this year, like Jay White didn't happen. He's now in AEW. Naomi, she's already back. But who would be your best bet, guys? Let me know in the comments. If you had to pick one person to show up tonight as a surprise, whether that be a return, like a legend type return, or whether it be a return from injury, or whether it be a return like someone that's just kind of been in the background, but not been used lately, say like coming back onto the scene like the OC, or would it be someone like Sheamus coming back, or could we get a WWE debut? We saw Julia showing up in the crowd at NXT. You'd imagine she's going into NXT, but it's still a possibility. She could be used tonight, you know. There's a lot of kind of moving parts here as well with what was a kind of mad night 2 for WrestleMania, where you had so many titles changing hands. And of course, even in night 1, as much as I weren't a massive fan of Sami Zayn being the one to end that reign, it was still a great kind of match. And it does shake things up as far as the dynamic goes. Will Gunther be going straight into a world title picture tonight? Will he be going after Cody Rhodes? Will Cody Rhodes have business with the bloodline still? Will the bloodline get new members? Will The Rock take over the bloodline? Will Roman Reigns even be there? Then you look at the tag title scene. We were talking earlier on. We had a great comment from Sludge Sports. Excuse me, I pulled up the wrong graphic there. A great comment from Sludge. I saw so many people. I thought that must be it. No, there's even more. 12 people I was looking for from the tag title match, of course, at WrestleMania. We got new tag champs in the Awesome Truth. Do we get those titles straight away back on the Judgment Day, but in the form of Balor and JD McDonough rather than Damien Priest? Because I was saying, well, no, why would we bring him back to the Judgment Day? Surely they took him off of him to free up that opportunity for Damien Priest, because it'd be a bit weird him having the world title and the tag. It's been done before, don't get me wrong, but it kind of takes away from it in some sense. Well, a good way to kind of get around that is to take them off briefly and then move them to someone else, you know, JD, because that moves away from having to use the 3-bed rule, which again, I am not a fan of. So if that's what they do here, good. I'm not usually a fan of hot potato in the titles, but as Lucas said on the show the other night, we kind of need that now. We've had so much of long title reigns that we kind of need something else, you know, like we need to shake it up a little bit. But it's just weird that it's all happened at once. You know, Gunther's massive reign ended on the same weekend that Roman's even bigger title reign ended as well. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they go. One of these titles surely is going to have a fairly, and Bayley's now a new champ. And, you know, so much has happened this weekend. One of these titles, I feel, will be changing hands very quickly, and at least one of them's got to go into a fairly long reign. I'm not talking 3-4 years. I'm talking, you know, at least 9 months or something like that. Who we got here? Heart Attack 35. Hey, how are you? We're doing good, man. Yeah, so great to have you on board, guys. Everybody in the comments tonight, really appreciate it. And everyone that's been joining us over the weekend as well. If you're new here, my name is Scott. This is the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. Tonight, we're doing a build-up show to get everybody hyped up for Monday Night Raw. It's a special event. We usually just hold these for PLEs. Of course, we did it for WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2. And I know it's all about getting yourself in the mood, but if you do have some time to kill and you want to kind of hear our opinions on some of these other kind of bigger pictures in WWE, go back and watch those as well, because we do go off on quite a few tangents. These are fun, laid-back streams. Beyond that, we do regular prediction shows and previews and recaps and reviews. We did a 2-night event, of course, following WrestleMania, where we did an instant reaction on night 2. Night 1. We also, of course, did do an instant reaction on night 2 as well, talking all about, you know, that Cody Rhodes incredible victory that we saw last night. So if you haven't already, please subscribe, check out more of our content, as we've been talking about as well. This is a space where we have interviews with your favorite WWE superstars, such as Mr. LA Knight, the fantastic Shayna Baszler. We've also had the privilege of having conversations in the past with the likes of Damien Priest and Bobby Lashley as well. So if you haven't already, you got plenty of content to sink your teeth into here on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel as well. Heart Attack says, how do you feel about Priest cashing in? I'll be honest, buddy, I was thrilled. I was very happy, because I know a lot of the talk was about Priest being stupid, the character, being stupid and not winning. Not taking advantage of opportunities when Seth, was down on the mat and whatever else. And I said yesterday, you know what, like going into WrestleMania Night 2 when we did our build-up show for that, I was like, you know what, if he cashes in on Seth or Drew and he wins the title, then he won't look stupid, will he? He'll look like the smartest. He's going from one of the worst holders in the Money in the Bank to one of the best, because he's like, you know what, I want to do it. under the bright lights, when all the attention was on me and whatever else. Like, and I think that's exactly what he did. The moment itself, and I tweeted it out yesterday. If you don't already, give us a follow at RM Pro Wrestling, but also myself at Scott_Reb Noise. That's REBNOISE for Rebellious Noise. But basically, I was saying, and see if you agree with me on that heart attack. Great to get your input here as well, buddy. I was saying that it was already better than night one, you know, because again, if you weren't with us over the weekend, you might not know this, but I wasn't thrilled at the end of night one. There were things about night one that I liked. And now that I've stepped back and seen it as a 2-night event, that aren't as bad as I first kind of thought. But I was a bit fearful going into night two. And I've said it a few times. It feels like night one is almost the preliminary night now. It feels like it was booked to be like the undercard, which I think is a very dangerous thing going forward. It worked this time round, but last year, or in all the other years, it feels like they're trying to make 1 and 2 equal, except for we all know, come on, night two's main event is the real main event. Okay, we can call it a main event as much as we like on night one. It's a main event for that night. It's still better than the old main events of like, oh, it's a world title, so it's a main event on third, right? It's not a main event. Now we do get 2 main events, so there is that. But again, generally speaking, they're presented the same. But night one for me this time around definitely was nowhere near. Whereas last year, night one felt like the way better night. It was kind of confusing at the time. But where were we? We're talking about Priest. So yeah, it opened up, and the whole thing of, you know, Drew winning was fantastic. He got that moment, which was nice on a human level. Obviously, he's playing a bad guy, so it's not the same. It was never going to be the same as it would have been originally, or it would have been in Cardiff if he had won there as well. But still, we got it. And for the story purpose, the fact he kept saying that Seth was too distracted and I'm going to bat you because you don't know what's going to hit you. And it was ironic because, no, mate, you were the one distracted. You focused too much on CM Punk, and you gloated and you thought you were going to kind of get out of there with a title, and you didn't. As soon as that music hit, I was shouting, yes. And I'm not a massively vocal person when I watch like wrestling. Like if it's not if I'm in an environment where I'm with loads of fans, or I'm on the stream with you guys, you know, I might kind of be hyped up, and then but if I'm just watching casually, like I don't, and you know, it's early in the morning here, guys, we've got to not wake people up and stuff like that. But I just was like, yes. I was so happy. First of all, when Drew won, I did that when Drew won. And then when Damien cashed, like when their music hit, yes, I was like all for it. I was so happy. I know a big part of that, of course, is the excitement of a cash in. And I said earlier on, bringing it back to Raw after Mania, I was there in 2013 when Dolph Ziggler cashed in on Del Rio and won the Mania, won the world title again, but with his Money in the Bank briefcase being cashed in. Absolutely loved it, and I'm a big fan of Money in the Bank concept. We were talking last night about potentially do we retire it for a little bit or something like that, because sometimes it does become lackluster. But I think last night really just shows you why. No, keep it. Like it's so good. It's so good. Another comment here, once again, from Heart Attack, who says, Jay and Jimmy still kind of weird. Yeah, let's touch on that one, guys. Jay and Jimmy, of course, we're going to talk a lot about Raw tonight, but we can't help but talk once again about the things we saw going down at WrestleMania. Now, the issue with this match is that I think the build was confusing. I think the build just highlighted some of the issues that we've had surrounding the bloodline. You know, I'm going to turn now, you're going to turn now. I'm going to turn now, you're going to turn now. We're together now, we're not. And then all of a sudden, they seem to forget that themselves, and that whole kind of promo they did going into this of him going, oh, you know, you abandoned me or whatever. Like, it just didn't make any sense. Just like both of them had forgot what had actually happened. So, yeah, that didn't help. And then I thought, you know what? If we have a good match, it will make up for it, right? No. I said this on the Give Me a Whole Year podcast earlier on. You know, the Jose Mourinho meme, you know, I prefer not to speak because if I speak, I'm in trouble. I kind of feel like that. You know, I don't want to put these guys down. They're incredible performers. They are, in my opinion, one of the greatest tag teams of all time. They've both been great when it comes to the bloodline. Even though there have been confusing parts of the story. Jay, of course, we all know Jay is, you know, he is he's the bigger star out of the two. And I felt like Jimmy winning could have given Jimmy something as a performer, as a person, again, to just be like, we appreciate your work. Like, because Jay didn't need to win because Jay's already the star. It could have helped raise Jimmy. But at the same time, realistically, Jay is the star. Got to sell that merch, baby. So it kind of goes that way as well. Ray answers, can we show the matches? We don't have any matches on here, unfortunately, Ray. We don't have the license to show WWE footage or anything like that. But yeah, what we're doing is we're getting everybody hyped up for the show instead. We're going to talk about, what we expect to happen tonight. We're going to make some predictions. We're going to talk about potential returns and surprises and debuts, because of course that's what Raw After Mania was quite famous for up until, recently. Yes, we got some returns and kind of surprises last year, but not to the magnitude that you would expect. And going into last year, I was thinking, look, this is Triple H's first Raw After Mania, but again, we've all heard the story since that what really happened backstage that day with we're ripping that up and we're starting again by a certain somebody. Whether or not that's true, I can't say for sure, but it kind of seemed that way, right, when we watched the show. This time round, and they've made sure to let us know this all weekend, we are in the Paul Levesque era. So all that excitement I had going into Raw last year, although I was fearful this year going, you had it last year and it didn't work out, part of me's been like, you know what, second chance, because really this might actually be the first chance, because maybe this is really where it all starts again. We look back to SummerSlam, don't we, when he brought in Damage Control as kind of like, oh wow, like the first PLEs is pretty much in charge of. But obviously there's been a caveat to that going forward. But now they're like actively saying, no, this is his era. So yeah, going to be really interesting to see what happens tonight, guys. But like I say, we don't have access to show the footage, but we've got footage of WWE superstars either way. Again, we've got interviews with the likes of LA Knight on this channel. We've had great conversations in the past with Liv Morgan and the likes of Damien Priest on several occasions. Actually, we've had some great conversations with Damien Priest as well. So if you haven't already, check those out. Also, although we can't show the footage, we've done some fantastic watch-alongs in the past. ECW very in at the moment. A little bit of a resurgence, it feels, happening because of the recent connection with Philadelphia and WrestleMania, and of course Heyman going into the Hall of Fame. But we've also had watch-along parties on this very channel for classic WWE events such as SummerSlam 2002 as well. So if you haven't already, check those out if that's your kind of thing, and subscribe if you could as well. Heart Attack, let's get to your next comment, buddy. I would love to see Rollins win and hold it for 365 plus days and then lose, but to Randy Orton, someone with a GOAT case and someone who would make historic headlines with that title just for the sake of the prestige of the title. I assume we're talking about the World Heavyweight then here, Heart Attack 35. Now, I feel like he gave that title prestige. I actually thought Nakamura should have beaten him, because it's hard to know what his title is. It's a new title, but it's not a new title. It's got the same name as the old title. It looks a bit like the old title. Do you know what I mean? So it's a bit confusing, but they were presenting it like a new title. So I thought giving it to an established person like Rollins was a good idea, but I felt like he should have lost it before. But now, he's lost it to someone that, again, he's having that stepping stone. I was like the Money in the Bank winner to be someone about to break through that glass ceiling, about to brawl that brass ring or that briefcase and get to that next level. And that's what's happened. I know that the perception was, what's Priest? He's silly. He's never cashing in. And now look, it looks like, he belongs. So I'm really excited to see what they do with it, especially linking it up with the Judgment Day. Whether it leads to a downfall of the Judgment Day, I'm all for that cool storyline, but I'm also all for them having all the gold and getting those tag titles back as well, as Sludge Sports recommended earlier on as well. But I see where you're coming from with the lengthy reign, but the thing is, we've had so many lengthy reigns lately, so you kind of needed a few months for prestige, but I didn't want it to go too far, so I'm glad we've had what we've had. Jordan Kirby says, are we still Cody cry babies? I get, well, are we crying? Oh, you know what? A lot of us were crying for different reasons, though, right? Emotional last night. It was such a good main event and such a good moment there as well. Yes, it was overbooked. Yes, there were shenanigans. But I think because of last year, I think that's kind of what we needed. Because last year, I think, was a better match. But look where that got us. As Cody Crybabies, so there we go. It's a title, no history except Rollins, and I think the first few holders need to set an example in next week. Star and Beast. Priest doesn't do it for me. Looks like the IC title. I get where you're coming from with that. I do. But I wouldn't personally want, let's say they all have like 3 to 9 month reigns, right? It's going to take like 2-3 years to get to that stage if we don't give it to anyone new. And then it'll be people like, as much as I love him, Randy Orton, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, Finn Balor. I mean, Finn Balor, I thought should have won it, to be fair, a few months ago as well, just to give it to someone a little bit fresher who's only had a world title for one day before in WWE. But yeah, I get where you come from, Heart Attack, and I appreciate your messages here. Only if the others are still Roman sexual. when were people calling him that? I don't remember that. He's a very sexual man, Roman Reigns. I know a lot of people are fond of the tribal chief. He's definitely got an aura about him. So there we go. Right, let's get back into tonight, guys. What do you think is going down? Like, who do you think opens the show? We were speculating earlier on, will it be Cody Rhodes? Will it be the Judgment Day? I'd be happy with either one of them. It'd be like a celebration, or something like that. But we kind of had that already with Cody last night, didn't we? So maybe I might be a bit happier with the Judgment Day coming out. Heart Attack says it should be Rollins, Orton, Punk, and then Rollins again. Wow. So look, Punk I can see happening. But the argument there would be, oh, look, he's just come back and won a belt. It's just how do we book this title? Like you say, I get where you're coming from, giving it prestige, but I also think it's a good opportunity to give it to people that haven't had belts. But you needed someone like Seth to give it that prestige. And I think Seth, as much as, again, I kept saying, like, every time we were doing a build-up show, I hope he loses it this time. I still appreciate the hard work he put in. And he's been great the past few years. I think we all know just how good Seth Rollins has been. And there was a time a few years ago where I was not on the Seth Rollins train anymore. I thought he had lost his shine. He wasn't cool anymore. He was whinging on social media, it seemed, about the wrong things. Excuse me, felt kind of tone deaf. But then he's turned it around. I think he's been so good. And I've actually felt bad for him because he's had to be in these positions where, the Cody run, for example, fantastic series of matches. But like, I could see a world where Seth is like, what about me? When am I getting the main title? Do you know what I mean? He had to lose to Roman. This time around, like, he lost his belt to Drew, but he also had to kind of, he was in a match with The Rock, which is fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but he was the fourth guy in a match, right? So, but he played that role so well. And that moment again, the Shield kind of, I'll be a Shield. And then looking back on it last night, going, man, he was his Shield. Like, so cool. Heart Attack's suggestion would have been to have Orton hold it from August to the Rumble, lose to Punk at the Rumble, but that's just my fantasy booking. And also says, and Punk return in August, and the fuse with Drew then goes after the world title. Yeah, I mean, it looks like we are going to get Punk and Drew anyway, so looking forward to that. But that's another aspect to this, right? Is Drew coming out first to kind of whine about what happened, the injustice that took place, which, he'd have a point for. Let's be honest, he has a point. But some great storytelling on WrestleMania last night as well. As I've been saying, guys, we've got a lot going on this channel. We're going to stick with you, though, until Raw pretty much goes on the air. This is all about getting yourselves hyped up for the big show. It's about us getting in the mood for the big show on this channel as well. I say us, it's only me this time right around, folks. We usually have an esteemed panel of guests. I've usually got a beer, but a big mug. If you've joined us in the past, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Big old Stein as well. But I'm still here for a beer. And for the third night in a row of staying up and watching wrestling. And last night we came back with an instant reaction. We did 2 over the weekend. We did one straight after night 1, and we did one straight after night 2. And I'm happy to say, guys, we're coming back straight after this show as well. Well, after Raw goes off the air, I should say, we're going to come back and talk again with you lovely people. I hope you join us once again to go through what actually went down at Raw after Mania. There'll be no more time for fantasy booking, not for that show at least. We can be booking ahead, of course, and going, you know what? that person turned on so-and-so, or that person returned, or that person debuted, or this title changed hands quicker than I expected. And we can be looking to the future from there. We've got so much to be excited about, guys, with these international PLEs. I don't know about you. We've probably got people tuning in from all around the world. Would love to know actually where you are tuning in from. It's always interesting to know where people are kind of watching us from as well. Of course, that's the power of the internet. It's fantastic to kind of meet new friends online and kind of get to know each other's opinions on pro wrestling. That's what we're all here for. And that's what we all enjoy. So again, let us know in the comments, guys, where you are tuning in from. But again, international PLEs, man, I'm all for it. We got France with Backlash coming up next. Straight after that, we're going to Saudi Arabia for the King and Queen of the Ring, which I'm excited to see because, of course, they gave up on that, didn't they? They rebranded that show as Night of Champions a few years ago. So they didn't actually do it. And then after that, I believe we are off to Bash in Berlin. Then we're off to Canada for SummerSlam. Again, I can't remember if that's Toronto or where was the other one? Montreal, perhaps. It's just going to be a crazy few months. And how did I forget? Right in the middle of that, they're coming back to the UK. They are coming back for a PLE over here. Clash at the Castle as well. Heart Attack 33, you're from Austria. Oh, nice one. Not to mix it up with a place that has the kangaroos, by the way. I know, yeah, it's a common mistake people have, right? Austria. Oh, well, brilliant. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm assuming you were pleased with Gunther's title reign and pretty happy for how your countryman has kind of represented the Austrian people. Maybe not as a fine specimen of a good guy. He's been a bit of a naughty boy, let's be honest, but an incredible performer and really interesting. Of course, as we keep saying, look, he's not German, but he trained and wrestled quite a bit in Germany, of course, and they are going there very soon again for Bash in Berlin. So it'd be nice, almost a homecoming for him. Of course, as we say, he is from Austria, but and not Australia, as Heart Attack says, not the place with the kangaroos where we had Elimination Chamber. Another international PLE. My gosh, it is really stacking up. But he really is doing incredible things. Interesting take here, though. No family saw it in the media. Said, "Who is this Nazi? How are they allowing this?" I get. Look, I get where you're coming. A lot of boys still like Gunther because, I guess he is a somewhat. Yeah, when I say representation, probably a bad. But like I say, he's been a bad man. But they do have this, and it's a very fine line, right? When they changed his name, everybody was like, who are they naming him after? I know. Yeah, they've lent into that. Let's be honest. Not obviously massively, even though it looked like they were going to do it at one point. And that must be a real, I can only imagine, obviously not being Austrian myself or German or anything like that, how that must feel. Not the kind of representation you want to have. So I get where you're coming from there. But like you say, a lot of people still quite into me. It does remind me again, him going over to Germany is kind of like how we used to sort of claim Sheamus and Finn in a way, because of course the UK and Ireland, two very different things, but they both again made their names originally in the UK, and a lot of great memories of them on the indie scenes over here as well. So when they do come back, it is like a somewhat of a homecoming for them as well. So going to be interesting to see what happens there. But guys, thank you for tuning in. Really been great so far. We're about just under half an hour away from Raw after WrestleMania. Is it going to be a big one? I certainly hope so. I've been telling you all about who we are, though. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll this clip to tell you a little bit more about the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.
There you go, guys. A little bit more about us if you are new to the channel. Hope that's enticed you to hit that big red shiny button to subscribe and ring a ding-ling. That that notification bell as well. Art Tech asks, are we doing a watch along? We're not doing a watch along, mate. But what I would suggest, of course, there are loads of great channels out there that do watch alongs. And if you do pick one of those, I'd appreciate if you came back to us at the end of the show. I know you're over in Europe as I am, so it's going to be a late night for you. So I know that's quite an ask. But if you are enjoying yourself, I'd love it if you came back at the end of Raw to hear what we've got to say on this channel as well. Let's all come back together at the end of the night, guys, and kind of reconvene. But someone to plug that gap in the middle, I will say, is the channel Give Me a Whole Year. Also from the UK, Friends of Rebellious Noise. We do have a lot of their contributors coming on this channel quite often. And I would recommend tuning in there. They're a great kind of channel that are on the up, certainly rising, doing really interesting things. Again, I was on their channel earlier on tonight as well, so they must be good, right? If they're having someone like me on. Okay, right, whatever. That's enough to my own horn. But seriously, they are really good boys. Met those doing press at a WWE event. We've got some incredible friends in the media thanks to these privileges of going to these WWE shows, and as I say, getting to interview the likes of WWE superstars, but also meet some fantastic, talented journalists as well. So if anyone I would suggest is Give Me a Whole Year. I'll put it in the comments, guys. Let me get their link and I can send it straight your way, because I appreciate these things can get a little fiddly. Let me see if I can find their link. So this is the here we go. Let's see if this works. Look at this work I'm doing for my friends. People say, when you work in the media and stuff like that, rivals, you're all trying to get the same scoops. Nah, we got some good people over here on the UK scene. But there we go. It's in the chat now, guys. If you want to copy and paste that or search it up yourself, Give Me a Whole Year. And tell them Scott from Rebellious Noise sent you if you do go over there. But remember the rules. You got to come back here for the end of the show. We won't be doing a watch along, but we will be doing an instant reaction review. Like I say, like we did as well on night 1 and on night 2 of WrestleMania. If you haven't already had too much WrestleMania chitter chatter and you want to know my thoughts on that and the rest of the crew from Rebellious Noise, including Andy, who's also a great wrestling media friend, has a great channel called Wrestling Royalty. He was live on this show last night, both on the build-up, I believe, on night 2, and also the instant reaction on night 2, because he's in Philadelphia. I think he's on his way back now. But he gave us a really cool perspective of what it was like to be there in person. So it's great to watch it from afar, as I'm sure many of us have been doing this weekend, and we've been kind of discussing it like that. But Andrew Spores is a great journalist as well. He came on board last night and basically told us, who got the best reactions and what was the feeling like when Sami Zayn did win. Were people just a bit too shocked? How do people feel about the Undertaker showing up when people expected maybe Steve Austin to show up as well? So if you want to kind of hear that kind of side of things, definitely check out our stream from last night as well. Heart Attack says you've left a sub to both of your channels. Thank you so much, buddy. Really appreciate that. And again, if you do check them out later on, drop them a comment. I think they're live very soon if they're not already. So let them know. Again, tell them Scott from Rebellious Noise sent you their way as well. I'm sure they'd appreciate to hear that. But let's get back into it, guys. Tonight, Monday Night Raw, the Raw after WrestleMania, the most exciting Raw of the year. Is it going to be a big one? Are we going to be coming back on air in a few hours' time saying, you know what? I'm glad I stayed up wherever you are around the world. I really hope so. If I'm going to be honest, I can't see as many obvious returns as I usually can envision. Like any of it, like last year, like I say, there was about maybe 10 names that I was like, they could come in, like varying levels, varying importance as well. If I'm honest, like, but still there were about 10 possible surprises. Some of them were like out of left field, but still very possible, like Jay White. Some of them will have returned to the company, like Zack Ryder and Mark Cardona, which could happen tonight. But again, he just did something with AEW, so maybe that's a bit soon. Then again, the NXT call-up scenarios as well. This time around, I just can't think of that many. And that could end up being amazing. That could be a great sign because there could be someone that I'm just not thinking of that I'm like, how did they get that done? Or it might be a sign of bad things where like there's only a few possibilities and they might do none of them. You know, I do think the two most likely, because of the reports and because of, you know, what I think should be happening with the bloodline, which is this kind of new version of it. Jacob Fatu seems the most likely in that sense. And then the other one I would say is time for a call up from NXT is Carmelo Hayes. But where do you stick him? What do you do with Carmelo Hayes? Where do you put him on the card? You know, is he? I mean, he doesn't need to come in for a title or anything like that. And it's an exciting time to be a wrestling fan, isn't it, guys? Like we got so many possibilities. Now, it was on a knife edge last night. I think if Cody didn't win, I might not be so optimistic today. Like I struggled to be this time last year about the future of the WWE title picture. But hey, it all feels right with the world at the moment, guys. So hopefully we're about to go into dive even further into what feels like a new wrestling boom. As well. Speaking of which, guys, we did a video where we were lucky enough to get invited down to a WWE show at Wembley Arena just a few months ago. Myself and Rob did a review of the in-person experience, again, talking about what it's like to see WWE live these days. If you've ever been to a house show, you'll know it's completely different to a live TV show, and that's kind of our little ad for the house show circuit. I do think they are really fun and quite unique as well. So if you haven't already, again, give that one a little watch when you get some time as well. I've got plenty of homework for you guys. I've got plenty of homework, but ultimately, I'm just so glad you've joined me tonight. It's been a little bit daunting being on my own because I've usually got, again, a crew of Rebellious Noise teammates. And also, again, a lot of our friends from the wrestling media hopping in and out as well. But I've asked too much of people, it seems. You know, it's been a busy weekend, and we've had a lot of people hopping in over the weekend who have been real privileged to kind of. I've been really privileged to have them on the channel and give us their thoughts as well. But tonight, I've been going solo. It's just me, Oos, and I'm just so pleased that you lot have been in the background doing the old there we go to kind of bring up the Jey Uso references even more. You've been yeeting along with me. Again, guys, want to know your thoughts. What do you think is going to happen tonight? What's happening on the Raw after Mania? Are we getting surprises? Are you someone like me who doesn't usually watch Raw anymore? I only watch the highlights. The Raw is too long for me. I'm already scared that I'm going to get bored halfway through tonight. I regret staying up late for the third night in a row. But I hope I'm wrong. And if I am wrong, and it is really good, I might be thinking next week, you know what? I might do it again, you know? But for me, I think a big part of it is Raw being 3 hours. It needs to be cut back down to 2, but I understand the temptation to not ever let that go because of the financial kind of appeal of it, really, to have the extra hour of ad revenue, which, by the way, if you haven't heard already, guys, not going to be the case tonight. The first hour of Raw is going to be commercial free, so no ads in the first hour of Raw. It'd be interesting to see what they actually do with that, because sometimes that is just like a marketing thing and they don't really capitalize on it. They might try and use the time that no people are flicking over to maybe put The Rock out there or something like that. So we'll have to see. That could be something to look forward to. That could be something that they're kind of going into. Apparently, Adam Pearce has teased. Let me see where this is coming from. That you never know who's going to show up. Now that, I mean, you can't be more blatant than that, right? If that is the case, let's see where that's come from. He said you don't want to miss it. I saw that where he said, yeah, you don't want to miss it, about being commercial free. But I'm not sure if this comes from the same place where he said you don't know who's going to show up. But either way, if that's the case, then it looks like we are in for a big, big Monday Night Raw. The Judgment Day, again, surely going to play a big role in tonight's Raw. Will it open with him? Will it open with Drew calling out Priest? Will it open with Drew calling out Punk? Will it open with Cody Rhodes? Will they use anyone really from SmackDown? Because it's the Raw after Mania and SmackDown after Mania, although they tried to make it a thing, never really became a thing in the same way. And Raw itself, as far as after Mania spectaculars, needs a bit of repairing, right? So maybe even if they are someone that's maybe coming from NXT is going to be on SmackDown, or someone that's coming into WWE is going to go on SmackDown, maybe a good way to bring him in is still the Raw, because the Raw is when, you know, eyes are on the prize. Like, we want to see Raw after Mania. Like, as much as it's not been great for quite a few years, it still has that feeling, right? More than SmackDown does, more than SmackDown after Mania, because it never really kicked off, did it? It never really became a thing in the same way that Raw had, as far as, you know, the spectacular of after Mania type events as well. So, yeah, really looking forward to tonight, man. And again, I hope I'm back here at, 3 hours and 16 minutes from now, going live soon as the show ends and saying, man, what a Monday Night Raw we've just seen. And fantasy booking going forward again, like, oh, this person's just did this and this person now has this title, because again, we could be seeing title reigns come to an end tonight, as far as ones that have only just started. And I think the one that is most likely, and the theory I'm most excited for, is the Judgment Day. As Sludge Sports said earlier on in the comments, fantastic comment, Judgment Day could be taking those titles back off the Awesome Truth. And I know what you might be thinking, oh, we don't want hot potato titles. We've had a lot of big reigns. We kind of, maybe we should have some hot potato action. Again, we all remember Zack Ryder winning a few years ago. And yes, he lost it next night on Raw, but he still had that moment. It was still great. Like, that still happened. And the same is what this title reign for Miz and R-Truth could be, is if it's a one-dayer, then it's okay for me. Like, it still was that moment for both of those stars. Like, Truth has been so good lately. I don't think they ever won the titles before together when they had that really fun run the first time around. And I know a lot of people are like, I don't want Awesome Truth to win it in 2024, but I can kind of see that this is the best of both worlds then for me. Like, they get the moment, but they're not the champs for long. So it'll be interesting to see if that does happen. And again, it'll be a great way to free up Damien Priest of that title without having to do some sort of weird Freebird rule or something like that, and put it instead on JD or even Dominic. What if we go on Dominic and JD, and Finn's the only one without something? Because we've been talking about, if Dom doesn't have anything, does he have to go for a mid-card title or something like that, or go back and get the North American again or something like that? If not, it could be that Finn's the only one with nothing, and that is what starts to put the crack. At first, it's all good and it's fine, but then it starts to have the cracks, as it was a few months ago, it seemed. The jealousy between, remember, Finn was trying to beat Seth, but Damien was thinking about cashing in. And there was all, I really liked that, and I really thought it was going to go somewhere back then, but it seems they wanted to do something else in the meantime. So we'll have to see. Excuse me, guys. I'm a bit parched. Nearly 2 hours of chatting to you lovely people. As you can see on the lager tonight, it is a laid-back stream, guys. We are the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel, and we do these build-up shows usually for PLEs, but sometimes for special occasion events like Raw after Mania as well, which certainly feels like a special occasion this year, and I hope it is the case. And usually I've got my big old Stein. I thought a little bit smaller, just a pint size this time round. But yeah, just kind of getting in the mood, getting excited for tonight's show. And that's what these build-up shows are all about. But once again, love having you all on board, guys. If you haven't already, please subscribe. We've also got bonus content on our TikTok and Instagram at RN Pro Wrestling. You can also follow us on X with the same handle as well, at RN Pro Wrestling. We are now 13 minutes away from Monday Night Raw, the Raw after WrestleMania. And I was saying earlier on, guys, I've been privileged enough to go to Raw after WrestleMania a few times. If you have, guys, let me know in the comments as well. Or even if you haven't, what's been your favorite moments? For me, my favorite Raw after WrestleMania moments from afar, not being there, was Brock's return against John Cena. Unbelievable. When that music hit, we've all seen it, Brock Lesnar guy and all that kind of stuff. I know he's not really around at the moment and some kind of things floating around as to why. But we don't know for sure. Triple H made it sound like, Brock's being Brock and that the door is open. So it'd be interesting to see what happens there. But anyway, regardless, that was a fantastic moment and it led to a crazy match between him and John Cena. That's what I mean. We could be coming out tonight's Raw going, oh, like this is next. And I can't wait, like that would be cool to me. Another one I really enjoyed, of course, is as I mentioned earlier on, for those that have been with us all night, I was there for Dolph Ziggler's cash-in on the Raw after WrestleMania in New York in 2013, and that was just unbelievable. Like chills just thinking about it. One of my favorite moments in recent years, one of my favorite cash-ins, one of my favorite Raw after Mania moments as well. Really was cool. And again, we're not going to see something like that tonight with a cash-in because we got that last night, which was fantastic. I guess that is somewhat the risk of Raw after Mania, though, right? Because I remember as well another year when I went after 25 in Texas. And in Houston, Batista came back on Raw. And a lot of times you think, why didn't they do that on WrestleMania? Like sometimes if you come back, let's say Cody Rhodes, when he came back, like he came back and he faced Seth at Mania and it was great. There could have been a chance that he didn't do that. He came back at a Raw after Mania, which would have been great. But I mean, it must be tempting for them to go, we'll make this a Mania thing and not a Raw thing. Especially now that the Raw after Mania hasn't been in the recent years as much as kind of a shocker as it used to be. I think the last big one was probably, I think it's the same time when you had like the Dudleys and return. Or maybe it wasn't the same year because I think I remember these people being part of the same segment, but Enzo and Cass being called up from NXT as well, which again at the time, really entertaining act. And it looked like there was a bright future for them in the tag division, but it wasn't to be. Just trying to think other great moments. I mentioned it earlier on, the night after WrestleMania 14 when X-Pac comes back and joins DX and the new version of DX is made. Could we see something like that tonight with the Bloodline and Jacob Fatu coming in and the new leader of The Rock or something like that? It would be really interesting to see if we do. Or will they be holding back for Bloodline storylines on SmackDown instead? But again, even if you are signing to be on SmackDown, Raw is what has the eyes. And I think they kind of need to do something big tonight because, again, Andy, who was on the channel live with us last night, is out there in Philly. He's took the chance like he did last year, and it paid off for him last year in his opinion, to just go home a day early and miss Raw because like, like if I had done that when Ziggler cashed in, I'd absolutely be raging. Thankfully, I was still in New York for a few more days, but I do see what the kind of thing, the appeal, and just going, maybe I could get back early and sort this jet lag out earlier than expected. And I've already spent a lot of money and stuff like that as well. But you don't want that as WWE. You want that to be the hot ticket in town again. And much like, Hall of Fame, as I said earlier on, I don't think that is anymore. And I think the Hall of Fame definitely needs a lot of work. And this year's one, I've watched most of it now. And that's part of the problem as well. They need to spread things out. It's exhausting from afar. I can only imagine what it's like trying to cram this all in when you're there, but especially with a 2-night Mania. But yeah, if you haven't already, we had a video on this channel about a year ago, basically talking about the difference in presentation of the Hall of Fame over the years and how it really has damaged it, and also just how crammed in it is with being on the same night as SmackDown. And as you can see in this video here, we're talking about the WWE WrestleMania week and how much it kind of is stepping on, shows are stepping on each other's toes, if you will. And I think more needs to be done to kind of make them work out. I think doing the World this year, that the new version of Access has been really cool. I think that's given them a great kind of blueprint for building on that next year. Like they had the Slammies this year, which again, you could say, oh, that's gone against what I've just said. But like they can make this stuff work. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how they do. Another podcast we've done recently, guys, just to kind of plug this before we get out of here as well, we put up just a few days ago, is going through all of the WrestleMania logos from number 1 to number 40, 84 to 2024. We talk about the change in kind of design over the years and stuff like that. I appreciate you're not really going to watch that now. We're getting you hyped up for Raw, and I'm telling you to watch another video. But if you put in your watch later or you subscribe, would really appreciate it. And I think you'd enjoy it as well. If you're joining me tonight, you must be having a good time. I would hope anyway. And if you have, please, guys, let us know in the comments. You know, it's nice to hear what you guys think of these streams. It's nice to hear, you know, what you guys think is going down tonight as well. But again, it's really great to have you lot on board. It's been a fun one. Again, doing it on my own, little difficult tonight, little different, and I had a few tech issues in the beginning, so I thank you all so much for sticking by me. But this has been the Raw build-up show. We are just a few minutes away, 7 minutes, in fact, away from Raw after WrestleMania. It's all coming to head now, guys. We've been predicting it all, like who's coming back, who's returning, is anyone returning, is anyone going to be a surprise debut, who's opening the show. I mean, that's going to happen, right? Someone's got to open the show. Will it be the man we've seen there looking prestigious in his suit and his championship in his grasp? Or will it be another new champion, Damien Priest and his buddies from the Judgment Day? It'd be interesting to see them open up with a Judgment Day like celebration or something like that. That'd be pretty cool. I mentioned it a little while ago as well, and I was thinking about this when it happened. Of course, I did react, as I said. I was vocally excited when Damien actually cashed in and was successful. And I you know, I've had the opportunity of interviewing him twice, and again, I think he's just such a hard-working guy. And I don't know if you saw his press conference yesterday where he said, like, he genuinely was looking at the Judgment Day at one point and thinking, I don't know if this is going to work, and I don't know if I'm going to be here much longer. Like, he thought he might not have a job. And now look at him. You know, he is world champ. And yes, this could be early doors. We don't really know what we're going to get with his title reign. But I'm optimistic, and I'm very happy for him as a performer. Again, both interviews we've had with him, if you get the chance to check him out, really nice guy. We were talking to him about like what it takes to be in the Judgment Day, what kind of member they're looking for, and that sort of thing as well. When we were in FAir, he actually said to my wife that she could join the Judgment Day pretty much. It was quite funny. So yeah, really nice guy, and great to see people like that do well. Again, I'm in a privileged position. I know that when I get to meet these WWE superstars and bring you guys content from that, and I really do hope you guys enjoy that. We work really hard to get this stuff done. But like at the end of it, you meet these people and you're like, they are just some of them just really, really nice guys who kind of go out their way to kind of support us and the work we're doing here. And you know, likewise, you lot supporting us on this channel tonight and this whole weekend. It's been a wild ride. You know, it's not easy being over here in the UK and watching wrestling events that start at midnight and 1 a.m., which is the case tonight. But, you know, you guys make it all worth the while. When we come online and we read your comments, and we, again, will be doing that at 4 a.m. in just a few hours' time, we're going to be digging deep into what happened on Monday Night Raw. And if you've enjoyed tonight's stream, guys, I'd love it if you came back and joined us in 3 hours' time. We aren't doing a watch along. Again, our friends over at Give Me a Hole Yeah is who I would recommend you go watch for that. And if you do, let them know that Scott from Rebellious Noise sent you. But then when the show goes off the air, guys, please come back here. Join me for an instant reaction review. And let's hope we're talking about a show that knocked it out of the park. Let's hope we're talking about a show that was similar to what we saw, again, the time that Lesnar came back, or the time that Ziggler cashed in, or the time that X-Pac became the newest member of DX. Let's hope we're not looking back on things like we did last year. And although we did get a return in Riddle, who I was a fan of, and although we did get this kind of storyline that did somewhat help Cody Rhodes in the end, I think most of us came out of last year's Raw after Mania going, huh? What was that about? Overall. But it does feel, as I say, a little bit different this year. Triple H, as Paul Heyman said, he's the man with a pencil now. And this is really the Paul Levesque era. They really hyped it up. And for me, if they've done that, they can't not hit it out of the park. They have to pull out all the stops. And even if they can't get contracts done, even if they can't bring in an MJF as a surprise, and they've already used their big Jade Cargill one, they've already brought back CM Punk a few months ago. We've had some incredible debuts and returns in the past few months already. So maybe they can't do something like that tonight. Maybe Jake and Fatu, while exciting, a lot of people wouldn't have heard of him, right? So been doing great work in MLW, but there'll be people there that go, I assume he's one of the bloodlines family, right? Maybe that's as good as we get. But then I think that'd be cool as well. I think that's a good way to do things. But yeah, maybe things don't align for bringing in your kind of megastar. One I will mention before we get off the air is apparently Matt Hardy is contract free. And a lot of people were talking about them potentially showing up, the Hardy Boys, in the ladder match, and it didn't happen. What about Matt Hardy showing up on Monday Night Raw? I mean, where did they go? It kind of floundered last time they were there, wasn't it? And then they both went to AEW, and you're like, maybe this will work, and that kind of didn't work either. There were some good bits on both those runs, but both of those runs could have also been better. So we'll have to see if he does come back tonight. That's another possibility as well. What I'm hoping, though, what would be the best is if a big name or something I didn't expect happens, and that's why we haven't even been thinking about it, it would be really cool. But either way, I'm optimistic, guys. I think the Paulovic era is going to start with a bang as far as, this new season of Monday Night Raw straight after WrestleMania. Speaking of being with a bang, we're going to go out with a bang now. We are going to play our ad, I guess, for the channel once more. As we do, we'll roll it out. And I just want to say thank you so much for joining us, guys. We'll be back in 3 hours' time to talk all things Monday Night Raw. Make sure you subscribe. You ring-a-ding-a-ling that bell. Do not miss the notifications or anything like that. We will be live as soon as Raw goes off the air to talk about everything that goes down, good, bad, or somewhere in the middle. Look, if it's a crap show, come back here for the rant. If it's a great show, come back here to be hyped, and hopefully I'll be there with you. But we'll see how it goes. Enjoy it. Monday Night Raw. Let's hope it's a fantastic Raw after Mania. This has been a fantastic stream, guys. You've really kept me company doing this on my own, and I really do appreciate it. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And if you've been with us on this journey already, and this is your 5th or 17th or 25th time back, thank you so much for joining us as well. We've been a Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. I've been Scott, and I'll see you for the Raw after Mania instant reaction review coming in a few hours' time. The link will be there soon on this channel, so subscribe so you don't miss it, and we'll see you in a bit. Enjoy Raw, everyone.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.